Welcome to Tales from the Tap. My name is Frankie, and this is my co-host.
And the man.
And we are excited to talk to you about our RCQ recap that we've had from the past RCQs that we've done, and also get into a little bit of the modern drama that's happened since the banning of Violent Outburst. Stan, I've heard that Living End is dead forever. Can you comment?
I'll go into like a actual like metagame breakdown for modern, or again, not necessarily a metagame breakdown, but I'll talk more about modern later in the video when we actually want to talk about everything, or else I'll just ramble on for 20 minutes before we get into anything. But yeah, just to answer your question, if it's like just based on my predictions, I'm pretty sure Living End is no longer a tiered deck.
Rest in peace. You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Living End is dead. So
yeah, it's dead. I mean, it's pretty much dead. I think that deck needed to play at instant speed.
Yeah, poor Living End. Also, the new Slogger combo in Teamer.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like all over the place. I was at an RCQ at Hot Sauce Games, and our buddy Will Kowalczyk was there playing the 68 card combo from the 75k again, and he got second place at the RCQ that you got top 4 in here at the store.
Yeah.
So he played the same deck, and I watched him play a mirror match against the Teamer version with the, what's it called, World Forger Soul or World, it's red, green,
It's
X.
something Rage. World Souls Rage.
World Souls Rage or something like that. I don't actually know the name of the card, but it's like green, red, X. Put X lands from your graveyard or hand into the battlefield, deal X damage. And
World Souls Rage.
Nice. So yeah, that card is kind of nutty. It is actually pretty scary. So I've been seeing the deck on Arena, obviously. One, it's significantly easier to play than the other deck. I'm not sure which one's better, honestly, but this one is definitely easier to play. It also doesn't have the problem of having 68 cards without anything that you can possibly cut. So that's kind of nice. Although with the Slogger combo deck, you get so many of the outposts, are they called, from New Capenna, where you're just sacking them immediately. You have so many of those that it doesn't really feel like your deck is 68 cards. It's kind of interesting. But I will say this, the new version kind of scares me because it feels like it's a little bit harder to play against with Azorius control, where before it was just like Splendid Reclamation that we were scared of. This one has the World Souls Rage as well. And
you just dome someone to the face for like 9.
Yeah, and I've actually seen some versions playing Chandra Hope's Beacon so that they can do doubles. And then on top of that, they have...
that's the new tech.
There's another card that they can pitch. They can do damage with, but it also has flashback for like remove loyalty counters. I forgot the name of that, but they try to fireball you with that as well. Because then they can remove all but one of the counters from the Chandra, and then hit you with double like 8 damage fireballs. And much like Planeswalkers are kind of a hard problem for the control deck in Standard, a lot of double spells like that are also going to just like plow through. So it's definitely gotten harder. I've liked Cutthroat Slinker a lot in answer to these kind of decks, but yeah, it's very interesting. I think Standard's awesome right now, and even though these decks are kind of annoying to play against, realistically they're going to rotate out, so you only have to worry about them for like 4 months, and then if you really don't like those play patterns, they're going to be gone. Like Kamigawa lands are going to be gone. You can't abuse Takanuma and Odawara anymore.
The lands from New Capenna that do the gaining life, those are also gone.
Exactly. And then Slogurk as well is leaving. So pretty much all of that stuff that's doing the BS more or less is gone, except for Aftermath Analyst and World Souls Rage. So theoretically, there could still be some kind of weird
and
combo
Nissa.
deck like that. And Nissa, right.
Yeah,
but Nissa needs the
she's from
the
Aftermath.
Sacklands.
Yes, right.
So that should be interesting. Those Sacklands were pretty unique, specifically for Nissa from Aftermath. Nissa Resplendent Animus, I believe, or Resurgent Animus.
I think it's Resurgent Animus.
Yeah, really cool interaction. It was really fun to watch Will play the deck in person, because watching the deck on Arena is not fun at all. It's just a waste of time. But seeing somebody competent play that deck can be honestly such a blast. But Frank actually got top 4. I couldn't play in the RCQ because it was at my store. I'll never play my own events. I feel like that's kind of cringe. But we both went to another RCQ the next day at First Aid Comics, and I completely scrubbed out. I actually scooped to Frank in round 3 because he got the pair down to me as I had a draw. And I was like, well, you have way better chances of beating me. And we were gonna tie effectively as after game 2, we had like 8 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not even worth playing. I only wanted to see if I could actually win that game too. So I was like, you got it, bro. So that pretty much knocked me out. I only felt really bad for Gabe because our buddy Gabe has been playing the same deck list as us, and we've been really enjoying playing blue-white control at the time. Although Frank switched to Esper, and Gabe almost top 8 of that event, so I was going to be really happy for him. It would have been his first top 8, although they didn't have pins, so he didn't really miss out on too much. But he barely lost top 8 because all the 3-1s got paired against each other, except him. He had the lowest breakers and got paired against a 2 and 2. And he had to play for top 8 and lost, which sucks, but that's how it goes.
Well, and that was the opponent that beat me in top 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, Gabe, you totally screwed Frank over. You let her through, and then Samantha beat you in semifinals, and then she ended up losing, I believe, to Connor Mullally.
She did,
which is funny because round 2 I played against Connor, but I was so tilted from my round 1 tie that I didn't even sideboard correctly against him. So that's kind of funny that I could have knocked that guy out of the day early, but I boarded out my temporary lockdowns and he was playing Demir aggro. And then I was like, why did I cut my lockdowns? I was like, whatever. I was so out of it that day, which is funny because I really like playing standard, but I don't know what it was. That day I was just not feeling it. Maybe it was the Chicago weather. Anyways, I did play another RCQ at Hot Sauce, and we have 2 more this weekend, right? Unless you can't play Sunday.
I can't play Sunday. I just have one.
Well, I have 2 more RCQs this weekend, but both of us are going to min-max on Saturday, which is cool because I have never been to that store and I wanted to check it out. But they also cap at 24 players, so it's going to be like clean cuts. And then Sunday, Griffo Nest, we're going to go play with a bunch of our buddies. Gabe's coming, Julian, Jeremy. I think, I also think Carini, Brandon, is coming to
nice.
min-max, so that should be fun too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Going to have a lot of our friends there. It's so much more fun when you see all your other friends actually enjoying the formats as well. And hopefully we just don't get paired against each other early. With that being said, you want to just jump into some housekeeping?
Yes. So the first piece of housekeeping is we have a new patron that joined the Patreon this week. So thank you to Eric for joining. We really appreciate the support. It means the world to us. So thank you.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Actually, that was Frank's buddy that we mentioned on the podcast last episode that he met at MagicCon, I believe.
Yep.
So that's really cool, and really appreciate you supporting. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the content, and if you want to join us in the Discord, feel free.
Well, I did also, FYI, I did promise that I would get together with Eric on a specific day so that we could go over some EDH games. He's like, I have to come to the LGS to play some EDH, so we'll be doing that in the future.
Yeah, we've already started recording Commander games, so those will start coming to the channel pretty soon. We just got to get them, excuse me, prepped and edited with our buddy Sal and make sure that they actually look good. The first couple might look a little scuffed, but bear with us as we work out the kinks. It is, I'm no expert with cameras, and I'm doing my best. With that being said, though, Patreon is the best way you can support us. So thank you again, Eric, and thank you for all of those who have been supporting us so far, as well as those who have upgraded their tiers. We've had a few people actually go from a lower tier of the Patreon and upgrade, and we really appreciate that as well. It really does mean the world to us, and the support. We do think of you guys whenever we make the content, and whenever we're thinking of making content, we want to make it better for you guys specifically. The other way you can support us, you can always follow us on Twitter. We're posting stuff there. We try to stay engaged with you guys in the community on Twitter, stay updated on Twitter with other Magic creators and what's going on. Usually if there's some kind of drama or news, it's going to be talked about a lot on Twitter. Although, let's be honest, as a social media platform, it's not amazing. So if you just don't have one, I'm not going to blame you. If you join our Discord, though, you can actually interact with us a lot easier. And that's truly where we stay actively engaged with the community. We're pretty much in there every day. I get to be online a lot by the nature of working in a game store, so I have to be at my computer to answer messages and stuff. So if you have questions, I'm almost always available to answer, assuming I don't have a lot of work to do.
And we just added some new channels this week. So we are staying very active on trying to make the Discord a good place for our community and our supporters.
Yep. So if you guys have feedback or desires, let us know. We will get them to you, and we will do our best to make sure that we can get whatever the people want in the Discord. The next goal, or the next way you can support us, is actually on YouTube. So we're actually going to be doing a giveaway like we talked about. We didn't announce it earlier because we were just really distracted with life and stuff, but I won this box of murders at MagicCon because I was good at Standard and I didn't get to play in the Standard Cup. But we're going to be giving this bad boy away because, one, I don't need it, and two, you guys need it. There's some posted singles in there, and Pick Your Poison is in this set, right?
Yes.
Because that card is now going to be like tremendous in Modern. If you guys haven't already picked up some Pick Your Poisons and they're cheap, pick them up. It's a great card. You're going to see it everywhere now after the ban. Anyways, the way you can enter to participate in the box, we're just going to raffle it off. It's going to be anybody who comments and subscribes to this video on our YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment your favorite Magic card. We want to know what your favorite Magic card is. Whatever card it is, no judgment, even if it's something boring like Cruel Ultimatum. Anyways, yeah, so we'll post the instructions, I guess, on Twitter, but if you're watching the video, then this is pretty much how we're announcing it, and we'll link the video to Twitter for those. You're probably going to be seeing this on Saturday, hopefully, if we're on schedule, and we'll pick the winner on April 1st, and it won't be like an April Fool's joke, I promise.
No jokes here, only murders.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, that's basically what we wanted to announce, and like I said, if you guys want to support us, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Patreon, really appreciate it. Otherwise, we're going to just jump into the episode, starting with Frank's RCQs.
Yeah, so as Stan mentioned, I had made a pivot over to Esper Midrange. One of our good friends, Jarrett, who is part owner of the store here, is a very, very good Magic player and played this Esper list. So I have taken the list and practiced with it for about a week before RCQs. Esper was my list before Blue-White Control, and so with Domain kind of going down in meta share, I felt comfortable to kind of bring it back.
Oh yeah.
And I think aggro is kind of really what pushed Domain out of being like top dog when Convoke came in. Right. So I felt comfortable making the move. The important things to know about the deck, if you're like, well, what's specific to your list? It's that they're playing 2 Tashanas in the main board, playing an Aclazotz, and playing a Lord Skitter, no Fairy Mastermind. So a little different from some lists, but I found the Tidebinders to be very helpful. Aclazotz is becoming like a staple in Esper decks now, just because unless you're playing Sunfall, it's really hard to remove permanently.
Aclazotz only happens to be bad against the control decks, but it's not for the control decks.
Yeah.
So, and even then, sometimes you can get a board state where he just happens to crush because he's drawing you extra cards on both of you being hellbent. Yeah, I totally agree. Fairy Mastermind is a cute cut to have access to Tashanas in the main board, and it's an interesting way to play the Esper deck. I've been playing the more standard version online to get my 15 wins for the day, and just really enjoying the deck. It's so fun. Yeah,
and it's very consistent. It just it has a good game plan almost every time you play it. And one of the things that has been great as well is having the Lord Skitter and the 3 Denex in the main has made it just naturally good. I had a Reanimator opponent on here at Boars that just got crushed because I was like, Denek, you don't have removal?
Yeah.
I'm gonna attack you till you're dead. Right. So
it is really cool. One of the things I like about Esper so much is Esper midrange, in addition to the way the format looks, it really kind of reminds me of old school Modern, some 2014, 2015 Modern, or what they thought Pioneer was going to be. If you think about it, Esper is kind of the grindy Jund deck, and then you've got Azorius Control, which is the old Jeskai deck. Not too many answers, but just enough to stay relevant, but not quite broken. And then Domain kind of feels like what Tron would have been, because Domain is still technically good against Esper with Sunfalls and whatnot, and the ability to ramp into them, but it's still beatable. So that's really cool. And just the way the decks interact, how smooth everything is, really, really good mana bases, but not quite like perfect mana. Everything kind of falls in a really healthy way, even though they had the I would say it's a disadvantage that they expanded standard, and the last time they did that was for Battle of Zendikar or Battle of Zendikar with people were complaining that their $40 Gideons were about to rotate, and so they were like, we're going to change standard again, we're going to expand it and make it like longer or whatever, more sets, and that really backfired on them because standard ended up becoming horrific, and they had to start banning a bunch of cards, which it is what it is. They had to do it. People were really not happy at the time. Like, we haven't had bans in forever. It's like, okay, but like, calm down. Like, that means it's a good thing, you know? Like, they haven't had to do it in a while, and you know, we messed up. The fact that they had to expand standard to 3 years, I personally was a little worried, thinking, well, they might actually mess this up, or we might have some, like, for example, Slogurt combo. That's probably a deck that they were not intending to exist if rotation had already happened, but now it does, and it's honestly not that bad. It's not quite Emrakul before Amonkhet, stuff like that. I think Amonkhet was supposed to come out before Kaladesh, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, and so we had like Sahili Rai combo that they somehow missed with Felidar Guardian, and then we didn't have all the answers that Amonkhet would have given us, and it was just messed up. So I think they're doing a really good job with standard in general and the way Esper looks. But I'll let you get back into your RCQ and talk about your how your deck went.
Yeah, so that was just a brief overview of like the list. Now let's get into the first. I top 4 twice, just twice in 2 days.
4 hat and then First Aid Comics.
Yeah. So my first opponent was Dimir midrange. This is really a clean 2-0. I think that Dimir has a hard time just because Esper gets wider faster. And so then it's like, I also have flyers, and mine are getting bigger because of wedding announcements and Virtue of Loyalties. And then, you know, I play Naklazats, and you're like, I can't kill this. So
when you play that matchup, it reminds you why they're playing the white. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, like, against other decks, Dimir has like its plays where like it might be a little bit more favored. But in the mirror match, absolutely not. The white is disgusting. Virtue Loyalty, wedding announcement, Rafine himself, just disgusting.
Well, Rafine hits, and then their bats can attack in, their Siren Pirates can attack in, and you're like, what do you do from here?
It's hard to kill, too.
Yeah, very hard to kill.
So much mana.
Yeah. So it was a clean 2-0. My next opponent round 2 is Esper midrange, and this was actually really tight games. My opponent's list was very good. I actually think it was borrowing it from Todd. And sorry for my opponent, mega punted in game 3.
Ooh.
I had a Rafine on the field, a token that I'd put 2 counters on from Rafine. I had a Shieldred and like a flipped wedding announcement. My opponent has 2 wedding announcements and 4 tokens on the field. So it's just like, it's kind of like at a stalemate. And I swing in with Shieldred, hoping that they block. So that I've got a Wandering Emperor in hand. They're hellbent. I'm going to flash it a Wandering Emperor. I'm going to put a counter on Shieldred and go wipe the board. First strike all. First strike death touch all.
Right.
They don't block and go down to 8. Okay. I flash in my Wandering Emperor on second mains because I don't want to get countered and I didn't want to die in a crackback. So I drop a token and pass. My opponent, the next turn, swings 3. I'm sorry, they had 5 tokens. Swings 3 tokens at me and 2 tokens at the Wandering Emperor.
Yeah.
All 3 threes. I'm at 25. I go down. I'm like, I'll take the damage and Wandering Emperor dies. And I swing in with my
like whole board.
Yeah, I just swing in with my whole board and the crackback and then dead. And I was like, he was like, oh, I just didn't really calculate that math. And I was like, I was 25. It was pretty healthy. So I was pretty happy to walk away from that.
I think even though it was a misplay in theory, like he probably just didn't have anything to answer because like while he has the board gummed up, you have Shieldred and the Wandering Emperor. Like that's just so much.
Yeah.
Even if the board state was like, oh, neither of us is going to get in ever, just the Shieldred just sitting there is so nasty.
Yeah. The only thing is that he did I forgot to mention, he did on his turn flash in his own Emperor and
Oh,
exile Shieldred.
nice.
So
So
Shield,
he got rid of it.
yeah, Shieldred was off the board.
Then yeah,
and
it was
went-
definitely a punt.
went to 10, but I still had a Restless Anchorage, my 4/4, the 3/3, and Rafine to swing in with.
Yeah.
So it was like way more than 10, way
Yeah,
more. So
that's a lot.
it ended up being too much. I
So
ended
you got there.
Yeah, got there. Round 3, exactly what I said. I played against Reenact the Crime Reanimator, and just in that matchup, I got a clean 2-0. It was actually my opponent that beat me at the 75K on Domain,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was on blue-white,
Yeah.
and I was telling him about, like, oh, you should really come to the store, like, they've got a great shop, blah, blah, blah. Well, the first RCQ, he's here, and I was like,
Nice.
I told you, and you're here. And so that was pretty cool.
Actually, I played against him at Hot Sauce. He
his
was playing the same deck, Demir Reanimator.
really?
Or Reign of the Crime.
Yeah, so his main place is Chupacabra.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Anyway, Denick and Lord Skitter just did the Lord's work. I mean, Lord Skitter game 1, I was like, exile your creature, make a dude. Exile your creature, make a dude.
Yeah.
And like,
Lord Skitter is so nasty.
Lord Skitter just happens to be in some matchups like backbreaking because it does the exile effect. But in other matchups, it's just like he makes bodies every single turn.
Yeah.
So like that alone
I
is
think we're going to see a lot
also
more because not only the fact that he makes the bodies, but like the graveyard matters so much more now. Like you were saying, even if they're not reanimating, Slowkirk combo, World Souls Rage combo, hitting those cards out of their graveyard one at a time, like that adds up while you're aggroing them out.
yeah.
Puts them on the clock to like try to find a combo that they can't maybe execute anymore because they don't have a graveyard.
Yeah. So just was really good. Round 4, I drew in 3 unintentionally. I got the pair down, and so I was really worried.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh no, like I'm 3-0 and I have to play because of this pair down, and then we drew. It was against blue-white control. Games are just super grindy.
Yeah.
And this list didn't have the
that was with Tino, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
the Jaces weren't in the list at the time. So there was no
it was, but it wasn't 3. It was 1 Jace.
one Jace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had only barely gotten a copy at the time, and I let him borrow the deck with my sideboard guide for that weekend. And yeah, I was pretty proud of him because he tied with you, which ended up being bad for him. Really good for you, but he still made it to top 8 by winning the next round. So I was really happy with Tino's performance. I was proud of him.
Yeah, it was good. Next round, I just drew into top 8. After that, I actually faced Tino again in top 8 and got
No
a
clock.
Yeah, no clock. Got a really clean 2-0. You know, when you just have the turns where you go bat, Rafine, I've got counter magic. It's
Yeah.
it's really hard for them to play into.
Yep.
So I was just able to be like, boop, boop, boop. The game is done. And then unfortunately, my last round, I faced Toxic, and I lost in 3. It was really close games when you were right there, and like 1 card in hand, I get hit with a Bloated Contaminator at 4 Toxic. Take 2, and he goes, all right, March of Swirling missed all of my creatures to exactly hit you to 10.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I saw him draw the card, and then when he went to go for his play for the turn, I like knew he had it because Reed is a very good player, and I was just like, oh, I was like, I hope Frank has something, and he just went like, throw this blue spell away, March. I was like, and yeah, so that was a way to lose for sure. And Reed ended up winning the match or the invite to Dallas because he beat Will Kowalczyk in the finals playing the 68 card combo Slowkirk deck. It was actually a pretty good match. Unfortunately for Will, his Nissa kept hitting Nissas instead of the Aftermath Analyst, I believe is an elf. So his Nissa kept chaining it to a Nissa when it hit the second trigger. And so that doesn't really get him anything. And that allowed Reed to like break through. The double striker is so disgusting when Skrelv can give it protection from green. It's like Doom. Take 4 poison.
Especially when the double striker.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's like the only way they win that matchup because they can come up the board with blockers, but all their blockers are green. So Skrelv says pro green plus Toxic 1. Double strike is now Toxic 2. And that's pretty much how Reed won. It was pretty awesome to watch. That was a clean match too. It was a good performance from everybody that day. Top 8 was pretty stacked. Tino playing my deck, Frank, Will Kowalczyk, Reed Anderson. I think Greg Meyer, the guy you played against in round 2.
Yes, round 2.
Even though he punted that match, he ended up making top 8, and he's a very good player. He actually also lost to Reed. Reed was saying that he likes the Esper matchup for Toxic.
Well, it blew me out of the water. I mean, it was close. Like
he said it's favored for him, and I kind of believe him after watching how he dismantled all the Esper players. I think we also had Chris Smith with his RC control in the top 8. Man, that was a stacked top 8. We had a lot of players for the RCQ, which is crazy because we were at the same day as Nerd Rage, and apparently they only had like 12 players. Like, shoot, I should have gone there.
Yeah, we had more.
You're working. But yeah, then we had the same one at First Aid. It was 22 here, 22 at First Aid, and Frank also got top 4 there.
I did. My first round was against Boris Convoke. I lost. I ended up getting just rough games. I was able to like really gum up the board state, but sometimes Boris Convoke like is surprisingly resilient, where they can just like keep making dudes and keep swinging in.
Yes.
And then game 2, I think I hit a temporary lockdown to get like a really good board. And they still more dudes, more just grind, and just I couldn't get there. I think I was even like life linking with Denek for like a ton.
Yeah.
Like I think I gained I even told you I gained 17 life off of bats and Rafine in that game 2, and still like just could not get there. So Boris Convoke, it's good deck, sometimes resilient. Round 2, I faced the mirror, and I find that my list that Jarrett gave just crushes the mirror because of the Aclazats in the main board, because Shieldred against another Rafine. Like I had to calculate a few games when a Shieldred was on the opposite side, like, oh, I can't swing in with everything because the Shieldred triggers will literally kill me before I can like gain life with my own Shieldred. Like it's just wild. So Shieldred really just blows Esper out of the water, and it's just good for other matchups. Like if you play into any other mid-range list, Shieldred feels awesome. So I understand why he has it in the main board, as opposed to some decks that don't.
That his deck has 1 Aclazats. A lot of decks that switch to Aclazats now are playing 2. I'm like, well, I still like Shieldred. I don't want to cut her completely. And the main board Tishanas are just so nasty because that's always a cyber card you bring in for that matchup anyway. And Tishanas being able to answer Restless Anchorage, Rafine, Deep Cavern Bat, etc. Just the opposing Shieldred, the Aclazats. It's just such a good card.
Yeah, it's pretty busted. So I crushed my round 2 opponent. Round 3, as I said, was against Stan. He even, like, to mention, he grinded me out through a Kaito emblem. Where, like, I brought a Shieldred to the board and was, like, gonna, like, got him down to 1. And the card he top decked was a Get Lost to hit the Shieldred. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I brought a Shieldred from my library onto the battlefield.
Game 1, Frank crushed me. Game 2, he gets the Kaito emblem. And the whole game, I'm cracking jokes. I'm doing stand-up. I got the Judge Raul laughing at me. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But somehow I'm just, like, drawing into, like, stuff. In my head, I already knew I was going to scoop to Frank, even before the match started. So I was just kind of, like, having fun. And when he got the Kaito emblem, I was like, okay, let's see if I can like win. and I actually got there somehow, even though it was like a 30-minute game. I was like, geez, that emblem sucks. Not just kidding.
Yeah, I scooped at 10 minutes because I was like, look, this is going to be rough for me.
You were just like, we need time.
Yeah, I was like, I need time to try and like win another one fast. Yeah. And when I scooped, you were like, no, I'll scoop. And I was like, so, yeah, that was very gracious. I really appreciated that.
That's whatever. I wasn't gonna, not to a friend, I wasn't gonna like scum him into a tie just so we could both not top 8.
Yeah. And then around 4, I faced Domain. I had really clean games. Like I just barely got there with Exacxes in game 1. Game 2, I just had it. Like game 2 was the Esper game that you just want to crush. And so I went like Bat, Rafine, like, and then just had counter magic all day to be like,
Yeah.
oh, you want a removal? No. Removal?
Do
no.
you play
You're-
normalize or just
No.
make disappears?
No, make disappears.
Nice.
The reason why, because I asked,
Lord Skitter makes it easier.
well, I also asked Jared, I was like, why not normalize? Like, why make disappear? And he was saying that it just is easier on your mana base,
True.
and people won't play around, like, they'll play around the 3 mana thinking you have it when you're just playing make disappear, and sometimes the 4 off of like sacking a wedding announcement token matters. And I found that to be true. So
good point, honestly, it really does, because like everybody's playing around 3 right now, and honestly you kind of have to. I always like when I'm watching some of my friends play and they're like, how can I get better? Well, I'm like, well, one of the things you're not doing is playing around 3. Like, don't cast, like, let's say you're playing an Azorius control matchup and it's a mirror match. You can't just like turn 4 memory deluge on their turn anymore, because if they normalize it, they're going to exile your normalize. So I find myself throwing out a Wandering Emperor now. Like, counter this, I don't care. But if they do counter it, then you have a window to do stuff where, like, people just won't respect the 3. And it's like, okay, now you're on turn 9. You have 9 lands in play. Play around the 3, just pass the turn, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
100%. And then I have been blown out by Make Disappear, just being that 1 extra mana, or the fact that it's like 2 different spells, so I can't negate it.
Yeah, you can't negate it because you still get the copy.
Right.
It's really good. Then I went into top 8. I drew into top 8. I faced a really good player the first round of top 8. I faced Will Kruger.
Yeah, Will Kruger.
On Dimir midrange, and again, it was in 3, so the games were tight. But game 3, I was just cooking. I had my own bat, I had wedding announcement, and then like my board just gets bigger, and I get to draw cards off of wedding announcement, and so like, I could see the light going out. In my opponent's eyes, because like you could just see when my board is getting as big as it is, it's just it's hard
to catch up.
Yeah, it's hard for Dimir to catch up into that. And I think I had a Kaito in play too, so I was just like drawing. And
I think one of the cards I like that matchup has that is good in the actual matchup is the Cryptic Coats they main board. The Cryptic Coats are really, really cool. I'm only ever scared of them from actual aggro decks. Like, I've played against Esper midrange with Cryptic Coat, and they're like, flip my guy, it's a Rafine. I'm just like, okay, like, thanks. Oh man, it's such a cool card. But yeah, well played against Will Kruger, and then you ended up with
Samantha for the second time.
Yeah, Samantha. Oh, you beat her in the Swiss.
Yeah, the 2-0 in Domain against Domain was versus Samantha. So that was a real bummer for me, because it just sucks to. I feel like when you were talking about at the Energy, when you're like, Arby's is for closers, and I'm like, I'm not getting Arby's again, because I've been so close. Like I've now like made top 4 enough times, and it's still never closed an RCQ, and so like losing to someone that I just 2-0'd felt like when we went, I don't know if you went with me, but to Downers Grove during a Pioneer season, where I like beat my Phoenix opponent on Rakdos midrange in Swiss, like 2-0 easy. The games were so clean for me, and then I lost to my same opponent to the win in, because it was a 2-slotter, lose on the win in to the same deck, and I'm like, I
definitely feel you for sure.
And according to like Jarrett, Domain typically game 1 has like the advantage. Like, still
very rough. Sunfalls or Sunfalls.
Yeah, you have to just like keep a good Esper hand into a Domain opponent on the play if you know that they're on Domain. And then they just the game 2 is just heartbreaking, because I actually wrote down what we did for the games. Game 1, they just like had it. I had Denick on 2, Rafine on 3, lands, wedding announcement, make disappear. It was just like clean games. And then like on the second game, we're both at 3 life. I'm winning the next turn in game 2, and they like cycle a Triumph away because they know that they're dying next turn, and 1 other card in hand before the cycle. They go, you're at 4. Yes. Plays Cavern of Souls. Names Angel, double kicks, kills me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like literally the top deck to kill me on the the turn before I win.
Yeah.
So it ended up like it was so close, so tight, but
Painful.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Painful. But overall, like I recommend the deck. I think it's very good. I think it's very consistent. And like if with the build that I have, I feel really tight going into like the mirror, which I think is important because like you know me, I like to play Magic where I've got at least a 50-50 shot and I'm going to try and outplay my opponent.
Yeah.
But like this Esper list feels like it's hedging on like 55.
Yeah.
Like you have your favored versus most decks.
Yeah. With the Deshanas in the main, it's like you're sideboarding a couple cards to like cheat.
Yeah.
And if you're cheating a couple matchups and just end up like getting there because of it, it just feels like you're so far ahead. That's kind of why I have like the Jaces in my main board for Azorius control, because I'm like, well, I've always felt like this in the past. It always feels really good to win game 1 because you can guarantee that you're going to be on the draw or on the play for game 3 in general. But you kind of get over that after a while when you get good at Magic. You're like, okay, actually, this doesn't actually matter. It only matters how well I play and how tight I'm playing. But in this format specifically, I feel like, especially because the matchups go so long, I'm playing control. I have to win game 1, and then game 2 is infinitely easier for me if I've already got game 1 like under my belt. So I definitely agree. It's kind of nice to have those like anti-meta cards in the main board that are kind of catch-alls and don't feel bad to main board, and then still have synergy with your deck list.
Yeah, because there are some times, like I found with the Shanas, that you just even, like, if they do a board wipe, then you can just flash it in as, like, okay, well, I've still got an attacker next turn, and that will matter. Right. Or, like, there are so many matchups where, like, Deshanas just does stuff. Like, even against Boros, where Boros has a, whatchamacallit? Boros has the Imidane's Recruiter. You can, like, hit the +1/0 and haste everything.
Exactly.
And you're like, I just blew you out.
That's
like you
so
just
helpful.
like you lost your haste, you lost your like mini anthem. Like that stuff's so good.
100% agree. Plus it's a terrific blocker after that. Oh, they don't get bigger. Block a 1/1.
Yeah. Do you want to, before we get into the next part of the episode, get that?
Sure. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Not sure if you guys could hear it, but on our end, with the fans on, because the store was getting cold, I guess. Way too loud for us to hear anything, and then it affects the way we talk. But with that being said, Frank's RCQ double top 4s were really cool. I scrubbed out at First Aid Comics, went to Hot Toss. First time I've ever been there. Pretty nice. And then just barely got knocked out of top 8, unfortunately. It was a fun time.
Did anyone we know made top 8?
Gabe and I left early. We didn't play round 5 because we were guaranteed not going to top 8. Like,
did Julian?
Julian was not there.
Oh, okay.
I think Gabe and I were the only people there that we like actively play with on a regular, except for the new guys that come to play Pioneer. But I played the Azorius Control Mirror twice that day, like butter. I was a surgeon, no problem, just destroyed them. So I really felt good about the Control Mirror, and there was so much control there that if I top it, I felt really confident. Unfortunate. I ended up losing the Boros Convoke and like the most like honestly just bad beats, really, really unlucky games. I never got past 4 lands game 1, sitting on Farewell, and he had a War Leader's Call that was just crushing me. And the sad thing is that he's a guy that comes to the shop now. He's like, oh, you're he recognized me from coming to the shop the day before to buy singles. Like, you're from Borehamn. I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the owners. He's like, okay, cool. So we're playing. He's missing all his War Leader's Call triggers. And I'm like marking them down for him. And then he's like, we get to a point where he's like, you're at 13, right? Or 12. I'm like, I'm at 7, buddy. And he's like, oh. And then I die. So I'm like, man, I'm not gonna cheat somebody, especially not somebody that comes to the store. But yeah, I was like, damn, shouldn't have given him his triggers. And then game 2, I like locked him out, no cards in hand, no board state. I have 7 lands, an incubate token in case he has a haster, 2 lands open. He goes top deck, lightning helix, and I'm just like, who plays lightning helix and Boros Kamook? And I just got destroyed. And that literally knocked me out of being 2-0, which would have basically guaranteed me top 8 because then you just have to win 1 game.
Yeah.
Of the next 3 rounds, you know
Right.
what I mean? And on top of that, he only played against me because he got the round 1 bye. He lost to everybody else the rest of the day. I was like, damn.
Well,
God was not with me that day.
Well, and facing whoever has the bye is not great if you lose because the bye never wins. So your breakers are just absolutely garbage.
Yeah, my breakers were really bad because once I was 2-2, I was literally the bottom 2-2. Like my opponent and I were at table 13. And no offense to I'm sure you guys all know players you don't like playing against. That guy is a little bit annoying. So when I saw who I was paired against round 5, I was like, I'm not gonna play against this guy. So Gabe was like, well, I want to drop too. And I was like, perfect. You gave me a reason. Let's go.
Well, what's funny about that too is, I don't know if you remember, but this was like one of the funny stories of being at First Aid, was that same person that you didn't want to face. Remember that judge call that I needed to make? Because there were like missed shielded triggers on both sides of the field, and they were like disagreeing on how to settle this. And I was like, Judge, this is loss of life. You got to help them, like, please.
Well, that guy always has like the dumbest judge calls, and I'm just like, why are you arguing with people? Like, just play the game. Like, it's like the weirdest type of edge shooting. And unless I'm playing for actual prize or actual top 8, I don't like playing against those kind of people. I'm way too laid back. I'm just like, I'm over it. Listen, man, the days of like, oh, I'm gonna call you on every little, you miss your Mishra's Bobble trigger. Like, I just CBA. I'll literally give it to my opponents unless it's like a pack trigger or something. Draw your Bobble trigger, bro. I'll like announce their triggers for them. I simply don't care. If I beat you, it's gonna be because we both played correctly. Anyways, yeah. So I didn't end up wanting to play that round, and Gabe wanted to go, so we just picked up some stuff and headed out. But I have double RCQs this weekend I'm excited for. And if I scrub out of these, I think I have a couple more I can try to play in. I really do want to qualify for Dallas just because, 1, it was one of our goals from the New Year thing. But 2, Jarrett's qualified for Dallas, and it'd be cool to go hang out with Jarrett and play the RCQ and the RC, and the RC is standard. The other thing that sucks is it's the DreamHack one. So I guess if I don't qualify, I won't be that upset, because DreamHack kind of sucks. I'm really excited for like the Star City Games ones. Those are starting next quarter.
April.
I guess, yeah, basically April. So April 20th is the first day of the season. It goes all the way to July 14th or 20th. It's still technically 3 months, but it comes as 4 calendar months. It's Pioneer. Every store, I believe, is going to get 3 RCQs now. So you're going to have so many chances to win, even if there are fewer RCQs in your area.
Which hopefully will mean that because there are more opportunities, that hopefully for you anyway, there will be more Sunday RCQs than there were before.
Way more Sundays. It's so hard for me to get Saturday off. So I was really grateful to Todd that he was willing to cover me this Saturday. We don't have that much going on this weekend compared to last weekend. I was like, some of my guys wanted to go to the Saturday RCQ. I was like, I can't. I have local regionals for Universes. I had Pokemon pre-release. I had White Shores Title Cup. I had a Shadowverse Championship event. Like, we had way too many things going on in the store. Not to mention, like, 1 million Commander players showed up. So
sounds like not magic.
Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff going on. Excuse me. But anyways, let's talk about some Modern really quick. Not for too long, because I think we want to talk more about it when things are settled, but just a first look at what happened. So obviously we're recording late. We already saw the announcement from Monday. As of now, it is Wednesday night. Only about a day or two of information, data, 5.0s, whatever we can look at, whatever people are posting on Twitter, etc. So Violent Outburst got banned, and if you play Vintage, you can play 4 Ponders now, which is honestly really cool. But we don't play Vintage, realistically. Nobody does. So good for you guys. I'm happy for you. Violent Outburst is banned. Do you have any initial thoughts before I just start rambling?
The only initial thought that I've seen or that I've been thinking about is watching people online. Like I've been watching Spike and Doomwake and other people, like just in the background, seeing them play Rhinos, the 5-color version, without Violent Outburst, and been like seeing them 4-1, seeing them like have winning records consistently across multiple people, and I'm like, feels like the deck's still fine.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it does make like, it did make me think that like Guild Pact is strong.
The Leyline?
Yeah, Leyline of the Guild Pact. The only thing that I find really strong about it is like the downside of fetch lands is that you kind of start the game off at 15 life. But with you just being able to be like tap, 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 for anything makes that like less of a downside of playing fetches.
It's really nice too because you can fetch for a singular basic, and even if they Blood Moon, they can never take you off of domain because the Blood Moon won't affect the basic land.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. The only thing that like I don't think it's overpowered, only because like I've seen so many games with like 3 fairy just being like bounce, and then like their game plan is slowed down a ton.
Sure.
But I've been like, Rhinos isn't dead. Not maybe like 0 tier, but not dead.
Yeah, definitely not dead. Rhinos was never going to go anywhere with a Violent Outburst ban. So basically, I'm just going to give you guys the tea. I think the Violent Outburst ban is a good thing. It's just going to be good for Modern overall, the health of the format. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it sucks that they didn't just wait for Modern Horizons, but it's like, realistically, there was no reason to wait. The card is busto no matter what, and it's not going to get less busted because of Modern Horizons 3. It's not necessarily providing healthy play patterns anymore like it used to. I will say that one argument for, so one of my buddies, he was saying they should have banned Rhinos instead. And while I don't necessarily agree, I do agree with the part that it is quite annoying that so many of these Modern Horizons cards can like push the envelope super hard, and then we'll ban like real Magic cards, quote unquote, as a result. So like we lost like Bridge from Below, Faithless Looting during Hogak, although Faithless Looting I think is still overpowered and way too good without Hogak. We didn't need to lose Bridge from Below, and we probably didn't even need to lose. I guess like Fury was like whatever. But like, let's be real, Beans is banned as a result of like Modern Horizons cards, right? So it is that kind of thing can be annoying. But I hate when they touch the format and they don't do it in a way that is obvious that they know what they're doing, because Fury and Beans ban should have made the format better, and it got worse. And there was less viable decks, realistically, to win consistently. It went from like 5 or 6 decks realistically down to Amulet Titan, Yawgmoth, and Rhinos. So we lost tier 1 decks as a result of that ban, which was kind of annoying. They were saying Scam is too good. Maybe it was, but there was still decks that could beat it. Grief maybe would have been a better ban. Who knows? Hindsight is 2020. Whatever. The problem with Violent Outburst is that this card enables you to play a combo effectively at instant speed. And so the reason why we don't have Force of Will and we have Force of Negation in Modern is very simply so that you can't Force of Will protect your combo on your turn. It's pretty obvious, especially if you play Modern. So Force of Negation is there for you to have a negate on your opponent's turn that is a 0 drop so that they can't do any BS on the early turns, and that you still have a way to respond to that. And then later on, it's just like a cancel, whatever. The fact that they could Violent Outburst you and then back it up with Force Negation is a play pattern that I think is unhealthy for the format, especially with how fast the format was getting. I mean, like, Modern was getting pretty close to Legacy in terms of speed, minus the fast mana, and it was kind of unfun, even for me. I really, really like Modern, and it was just getting too much. So I think partially WotC wants to slow the format down, which kind of makes sense with this ban. And 2, now we won't have to deal with the ugliness of Violent Outburst plus Force Negation. Obviously, though, Rhinos isn't going anywhere. So the funny thing is that Living End is now unplayable, effectively. The play pattern of Living End required them to play at instant speed. And the fact that they can't do that now, the deck is basically dead. You might see some people still trying it, or weird quirky versions of it. Let's be real, it's not the same. And the fact that they can't instant speed board wipe you and present their own threats and then one-shot you, it's not the same deck. Demonic Dread and Ardent Play are still a thing, so more likely than not, it's going to be Ardent Play, but Rhinos is still going to be fine. You're going to see them cascading no problem, whether they're playing Domain with Bloodbraid Elf, and they're playing for the Land of the Guild Pact, or they're just playing classic Rhinos, Chartreuse Agent, and Ardent Play. What I think is interesting, though, is that because they're playing Ardent Play now, they can play like Teferi Time Raveler if they wanted to, and that's a lot of white spells now. So not only do they have the blue pitches for Subtlety and Force Negation, but they could, in theory, also play Solitude, which is kind of cool. We could see some adaptations in that direction. The only thing that I'm worried about is if these decks are too good now, because, like I said, Rhinos lost its worst matchup. Living End is unplayable now, and that was realistically a deck that got even more popular because everybody was playing Rhinos, and now they aren't. So maybe it's good for Yawgmoth, because Yawgmoth can play Hibernation, and Hibernation kind of blows up both versions of Rhinos and the Domain Rhinos deck. Amulet Titan also is going to get pretty scary annoying. I did see some people on Twitter, like Sodek and whatnot, going, oh, this is just the start of a ban wave. It's like, okay, well, hold on. Let's not get carried away. It could be. Like, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's off the table, but I think overall Violent Outburst was a problem card, regardless of what Modern looks like. And then I just wish they would be more willing to look at some cards that could come off the ban list. Still, there's probably a couple that we can get
We
back.
said that a lot here.
We do say that a lot, but I feel like now people are starting to finally agree with me, because I've been saying it for years. I think it was funny. Andrea Mangucci, he posted like it's time, and it was a picture of Splinter Twin on Monday. It's like, yes, brother. Honestly, I used to think Splinter Twin was too good for Modern, like I would say like even a year ago. Fury's banned now, so like I realistically think Splinter Twin is fine for Modern. I think that'd be, a fun card to play with, maybe. We'll see. Anyways, Modern RCQs are in third quarter, right? I can't remember.
I can't think that far. I'm thinking towards next one with Pioneer. I already have my deck. I'm playing Andrea's Rakdos Vampires, and I had a lot of fun with it this week. Yeah. So
I'm going to make a lateral move to Blue Light Control, but yeah, just Modern Horizons 3 is coming June 14th. Keep an eye on Modern. Don't be like a doom and gloomer like these other guys. It's not that bad. Format's still good. It just needs some help. And maybe that means some cards have to be banned.
One of the things that's like a little bit of a side topic, but it has made me excited, is I've seen a lot in Modern of like Goryo's Vengeance lists popping up, and I think that's partially due to Surveillance. And I'm seeing a lot of people just cook with Surveillance.
There's also Reenact the Crime too, which is really cool. Like I told you, Tim, our buddy that plays Modern, he loved Goryo's Vengeance even before Reenact the Crime. He reenacted the crime to an Emrakul on me and got to cast it in Time Walk. I was like, oh, well, that's a thing. Yeah, Modern is still a format where you can like brew some of these crazy decks with new cards. There's some old archetypes that people have like not tried to update in a while. And if we see some bans and some new cards from Thunder Junction and Modern Horizons that are hopefully not way over the top, I think we are getting another free cycle or whatever it's called. I don't actually know if that's true. Or not a free cycle, but we're getting a cycle of spells again. I forgot what they were. I didn't actually look at any of the Modern Horizons 3 cards except for the Psychic Frog, which Psychic Frog, by the way, guys, looks awesome. There was one card that I'm excited for all formats that's coming out pretty soon. Tiny Bones from Thunder Junction.
Yes.
That card is nasty. I think that's like instantly going to be like an Esper Legends card for Standard, but like straight up Esper Legends for Standard. It's a 1-drop, one mana black creature. Death Touch 1/1. When it connects with a player, so when it deals damage to your opponent, you can cast one of their spells, non-land permanents. You can cast one of their non-land permanents out of their graveyard for any color mana. That's going to be kind of nasty. And I think that could get played in Pioneer even, maybe in Modern in some kind of weird deck list, but it just depends on what the format looks like. Like what are you stealing, you know? If you're stealing Regavans, that's kind of nice, but
yeah.
In Standard, Esper Legends, they got a boon with that card. That's like something they needed. And it's a really cool card. You're going to see a lot more like Denic stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
Have you seen the list? Probably not, but have you seen the list that Spike has been cooking? The blue-red Breach list with Thoughtbound Phantasm?
I did not see that.
So he's been playing it like nonstop, and I keep seeing him like 4-1 with it because Consider surveils.
Yeah.
He's playing Thundering Falls that surveil and DRCs, and then a copy of one card that says like when you surveil like 2 more times.
Oh, it's that's the blue card from Guild Veronica.
Yes,
I love that card.
It's like a one of. It's like a one of that he plays
you can, like,
in the deck.
It for an ability, right?
Maybe,
I forgot.
Maybe. And Ledger Shredder. Anyway, the deck looks really funny. It looks like just similar to other lists that play.
It's really cool because
Breach.
Oh, sure.
But I think that it's awesome. Like I got to see him today on stream. Like fetch for a Thundering Falls. And then surveil 3 because of the trigger from that.
Like Undercity something. I can't remember the card. That's cool. I remember when Surveil first came out, there was a lot of Surveil payoffs, like Disinformation Campaign and the Demir Spy Bug and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, these are so cool. I wish this was like a real legit mechanic. And then I think that's when like Pioneer came out. So we're like, oh, maybe we can do it, you know? And it just never was a thing. Surveil, I'm a big fan of it. He can make that archetype work for sure. That's awesome. Otherwise, there's not really much else to talk about. If you have Modern questions, just ask me in Discord. I can give you my opinions on whatever, or let me know what your thoughts are. We could discuss them. If you have deck list ideas or whatever, I know some of my friends have already been updating their deck lists for the post ban. Like I said, pick your poison. Card is a premium. I'm probably even going to play it in Tron, even with the Karn board.
I cannot wait to start selling those to the store. Being like, oh, you need these? You got them. I've got plenty from all my drafting.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, really, if you do want to ask about Modern stuff, Stan is the guy to talk to. And personally, I am going to be in the boat of, even though like I'm excited as a Yawgmoth player to, because I saw the Yawgmoth meme with like the hands being like, it's my time. Yeah. But, I'm in the boat of MH3's coming out, and so I'm not going to think about Modern until about 3 weeks after that's been released.
I scheduled my last Pioneer RCQ for the store to be the week before Modern Horizons 3, so that could be like, we're done with that. Modern.
Yeet.
But yeah, otherwise, that's our show. Shout outs to MTG Chicago and our boy Sal for hooking us up with the cameras, doing our thumbnails, and his YouTube channel with all our gameplay on it as well. We're doing Legacy this Saturday, so we'll have some Legacy gameplay coming up for you guys as well. I know it's been a lot of Standard lately, but I try to get Pioneer and Modern up there for you guys as well. I send Sal all my recordings so that he can get them for you guys, and he's also going to help me out with some Commander for you guys as well, so we'll see how that goes. Shout outs Nancy Steroids, Frank's buddy, who does our intro and outro music, and he does the music that Frank listens to when he's streaming, and he does actually drop a lot of new music.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Very frequent
music drops, which is cool. And then shout outs to our giveaway. If you missed it earlier, go back to whatever minute it is. Maybe Todd can edit that in here. We'll see. where we have the instructions. Comment your favorite Magic card, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We want you to win a box, whoever it is. And if you are out of the country, you're not in the United States, we'll figure out some kind of shipping option to make it work. And who else are we missing for shoutouts?
Shout out to Borsak Gaming for allowing us to record here in the store, and of course to Todd that does all the editing and all the visuals for this. In addition, thank you, Todd, for allowing Stan to come and join me on these RCQs so that we can make some of our dreams come true of just improving and showing our worth to you, our viewers, on why you should listen to us about Magic.
Otherwise, shout out to our patrons as always for supporting us, and the viewers who are just with us for the ride.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.
Have a good one.